Chapter 1: The Prescription. If someone had told me that a doctor's prescription would be the beginning of the end for my peace of mind, I would have laughed. It started innocently enough. My husband, Daniel, had been complaining about his back. Lower back pain, tight shoulders, stiffness, the kind of tension you expect when someone works too many hours at a desk and forgets to stretch. Eventually, his doctor recommended therapeutic massage. Twice a week, non-negotiable. Daniel wasn't thrilled at first. He hated being touched by strangers, and he definitely wasn't the spa type. But after his first session, something changed. He came home lighter. I don't mean physically. His shoulders looked lower, his voice was more relaxed, even his breathing was different. I noticed it right away. "Wow," I said, smiling. "Did they give you a massage or a personality transplant?" He laughed. "It was better than I expected. Honestly, I think it helped." I was happy for him, relieved even. He'd been moody lately, short-tempered, and now it was like the air around him had shifted. But then the sessions became sacred. No matter how tired he was, how busy work got, or what plans we had, he never missed a massage. Never. I joked once, if I planned our anniversary dinner during your massage slot, would I have to reschedule? He just smiled and said, "You'd be doing both of us a favor." I laughed, but something inside me twitched. Then there were the little things. He started showering immediately when he got home, something he never used to do. I'd ask how the session went, and he'd always say, "Great," with this stupid half smile that didn't match the rest of his face. He'd disappear into the bathroom for 20 minutes. When he came out, he smelled like eucalyptus and shampoo, and his eyes were distant, glazed. I started feeling like I was living with someone else's husband. At first, I thought I was imagining things. Maybe I was jealous of a massage. Of course not. That's ridiculous. But the doubt began to grow, and once it does, it has a way of multiplying like mold. You start noticing things you didn't before. Or maybe they were always there, and now you can't unsee them. One evening, I found a small, folded receipt on the floor of our laundry room. From the massage studio. Nothing suspicious at first glance, until I saw the name written in fine cursive ink at the bottom. "Thanks again, Daniel. Always a pleasure. Alina." I stared at the signature. Alina? He'd never mentioned her name. I assumed his therapist was one of those older, professional types. Firm grip, no nonsense. The kind that wore beige scrubs and orthopedic shoes. But Alina sounded young, pretty, warm, and that word pleasure stung. I didn't say anything, not right away. I needed to be sure. The next day, I did something I'd never done in 10 years of marriage. I followed him. He left work around 5:10 p.m. and drove straight to the massage studio, just like he said he would. I parked a few spaces behind him, watched him go in. The building was small, discreet, almost like a converted house. No flashy sign, just a frosted glass door and a tiny plaque. EM Therapy and Wellness. An hour later, he came out. His hair was slightly messy. His shirt was unbuttoned at the top. He looked euphoric, like he'd just come back from vacation. That night in bed, he touched me. It had been a while. I'd like to say I responded with passion and love, but the truth is, I froze. I couldn't stop thinking about her hands on him, the way he came home looking reborn. And I hated myself for wondering, was I ever able to make him feel like that? I pretended to be tired. He didn't push. On to Chapter 2, Beneath the Surface. I wish I could say I let it go, that I gave him the benefit of the doubt, that I trusted the man I'd loved for over a decade, but I didn't. I couldn't. Once you've seen the cracks, you can't unsee them. You start to wonder, how long have they been there? Did I miss them? Did I cause them? The next time Daniel went to his session, I didn't follow. I told myself I was being paranoid. I told myself I needed to breathe, but I still couldn't sit still. I sat at the kitchen table, staring at my tea until it went cold. Time felt thick, like it was moving through syrup. When he came back, I greeted him at the door, trying to keep my smile from trembling. "How was it?" I asked, like always. He blinked. "Amazing." I think my spine cracked in 6 places, in a good way. He brushed past me to the shower. That scent again. Eucalyptus, but sweeter this time, mixed with something musky, something human. I went into the bathroom after he was done. The towel smelled like perfume that didn't belong to me. I started digging. I told myself it was just curiosity, just a woman protecting her marriage. But deep down, I knew I was about to open a door I wouldn't be able to close. I found her. Alina Markova. Young, yes, 26. A wellness therapist with certifications that looked real enough. Her Instagram account was public. Soft pink tones, crystals, herbal teas, smiling client selfies, always cropped. Nothing explicit, but there was something about the captions. Healing starts where touch meets trust. Some knots are buried deep, both in the body and in the heart. Come as you are, leave better than you've ever been. It all felt too intimate, too personal. One night when Daniel was in the shower, I took his phone. Hands shaking, heart racing, mouth dry, nothing in his messages, nothing in WhatsApp, but in his hidden photo folder, yes, he had one, I found a picture that made my stomach twist. It was blurry, taken from a low angle, maybe by accident, but I could see her, Alina, in leggings and a tank top, sitting on the edge of a massage table. Her hands were on his chest. He was shirtless, smiling, relaxed. She was laughing. That laugh, the one I hadn't heard in months. I didn't confront him. Not yet. Something in me, pride, maybe fear, told me I needed to be sure. Not just about what he was doing, but why. So I did something desperate, something reckless. I booked an appointment, under a different name. I told Daniel I was meeting a friend. Then I walked into EM therapy and wellness, pretending to be someone I wasn't. Alina greeted me at the door. And God help me, she was beautiful. Not movie star beautiful. Real, tangible, magnetic. Long, wavy hair, soft hands, warm smile, gentle voice. Hi, I'm Alina, she said. You're here for the 60-minute session? I nodded. The room smelled like lavender and secrets. I lay down on the table, face in the cradle, heart pounding. Her hands were professional, calming, skilled. But every now and then, a pause, a deeper press, a whisper of breath near my ear. It felt less like therapy, more like seduction. And I knew this was how it started. Near the end, she leaned down and whispered, "Would you like to schedule something more private next time?" My breath caught. I turned to look at her. Her eyes held mine. No shame, just quiet invitation. I said no, paid in silence, walked out shaking. That night, I couldn't sleep. He was lying beside me, snoring softly. And all I could think was, it's true, all of it. And she's good at it. He never stood a chance. Chapter 3, what I didn't say. I started dreaming of her, not of her face. I still couldn't remember it clearly, but of her presence, her scent, her shadow near him. In the dreams, she wasn't evil. She didn't laugh or seduce. She didn't lie. She was just there, next to him, in his world where I couldn't reach. She touched him the way I didn't anymore. She listened to him without impatience. She gave him something I had somehow stopped giving. I would wake up drenched in sweat, heart pounding, hands shaking, not with anger, with shame. The truth is, things had been off between us long before Alina entered the picture. Sex had become rare, mechanical. Sometimes I avoided it altogether. I blamed exhaustion, deadlines, headaches, hormones. I blamed life. He never forced, never complained, and I thought that meant everything was okay. Now, I wasn't so sure. The next few days, I tried to act normal, but every time Daniel touched me, even just brushing my shoulder, I flinched. Not because I hated him, because I didn't know him anymore. And worse, I didn't know myself around him. I was either interrogator or ghost, never his wife. One night after dinner, he stood at the sink washing dishes. I watched him silently as he hummed to himself, and suddenly I asked, "Do you love me?" He turned, surprised. What kind of question is that? I didn't repeat it. I didn't need to. He saw it in my eyes. He dried his hands slowly. Of course I do. Have you ever cheated on me? Silence, the kind that splits the world into before and after. He didn't look away. He didn't lie. Yes, he said softly. It felt like the air was sucked out of the room. With her? I asked. He nodded once. No hesitation, no drama. I sat down. The room blurred around me. My body felt far away. How long? It's not like that, he said. It started with the massages. I didn't plan it, but she offered more, and I didn't say no. I didn't cry. I think I wanted to, but instead I laughed. Not a real laugh. The kind that sounds like choking on something bitter. You didn't say no, I repeated. Is that what it takes now? He ran a hand through his hair. I don't even know what I was thinking. It was never about her. Then what was it about, Daniel? Me? Us? Silence again. I missed you, he said. The words hit me like a slap, because I knew he wasn't lying. I had pulled away. I had stopped trying. I had made our marriage about survival, not connection. And in the cracks I left behind, someone else had slipped in. but knowing that didn't make it hurt less. That night, we didn't speak. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, wondering how many women lived lives like mine. Women who blamed themselves, who stayed silent, who tried to hold broken pieces together because they were too afraid to let them fall apart. The next morning, I asked him, "Are you still seeing her?" He shook his head. I ended it. I wanted to believe him. I truly did. But how do you trust a voice that's already lied once? How do you look at hands that touched you and another woman and not feel haunted? He reached for me. I stepped back. "I don't know what to do," I whispered. He said nothing, and maybe that was the most honest part of all of this. Chapter 4, The Weight of What Remains. The next few days were quiet, not peaceful. Quiet in the way that a house feels after an argument no one wants to finish. Every room echoed. Every word felt like stepping through glass. Daniel tried. I'll give him that. He was present. He cooked. He offered to go grocery shopping, to run errands I usually handled. He'd ask how my day was, and when I answered in one-word sentences, he wouldn't press. He gave me space. And somehow, that made it worse, because space only gave me time to think. I thought about all the small moments I used to take for granted. His voice in the other room, the smell of his cologne on my sweater, the way he'd rest his hand on my lower back when we crossed the street. I remembered those things not as they are, but as they were, unspoiled, effortless, real. And now every memory felt infected. Even worse than the act itself was the mental film reel playing on repeat. I'd imagine her. Not cartoonishly seductive, just calm, young, willing. I'd picture her hands where mine hadn't been in months, her body giving without hesitation, her smile not clouded by exhaustion or resentment or indifference. And then I'd ask myself the one question that had started to rot me from the inside. Was it my fault? Had I let go too soon? Was I too tired, too distant, too cold? I told myself I shouldn't think that way. That betrayal is betrayal. That it wasn't just a failure in our bedroom, it was a breach of trust. But late at night, those lines blur. I thought about leaving. I even looked at apartments online, just to see, just to imagine what starting over might feel like. But every time I imagined walking out the door, I froze. Because the truth is, I didn't just lose trust in him. I lost trust in myself. What kind of woman stays? What kind of woman leaves, knowing she also disappeared from the marriage long before he did? One night, we sat across from each other at the kitchen table. He looked tired, honest tired, like he'd been holding his breath for weeks. I finally asked, "Did you love her?" His answer came fast. "No." "Did you love what she gave you?" That took longer. He nodded. "Yes, I think I did." I looked down at my hands. They didn't feel like mine anymore. "I don't know what to do with that," I whispered. He didn't try to fix it. He just said, "Whatever you decide, I'll accept it." And somehow that broke me more than anything else, because it meant he wasn't going to fight. Not because he didn't care, but because he knew I needed the space to choose for myself, to feel whatever I needed to feel. Now, I sit here alone in the living room. The sun is rising. He's asleep upstairs. And I'm writing this not because I've made a decision, but because I still can't. He cheated. He crossed a line, but I wasn't there when he reached for someone. I wasn't there, not in the way a wife should be. And maybe I hadn't been for a long time. So what do? Do I stay and rebuild what cracked? Or do I walk away from the ruin and never look back? I don't know. And that is the most terrifying answer of all.